What is going on, my fellow geeks?
3 movies with elves and a guy with a white beard.
Not a lot of people accept it as canon.
2022 will be the year of Star Wars.
Well, I have more than just one piece of geek news.
I have been Isaac Hunter.
Which is like high culture, but better.
Hello, fellow geeks, and welcome back to Raving Geeks, the weekly pop culture podcast where we talk all things geeky and geek culture, which is like our culture, but better. My name is Hope Gooderl, host of the Raving Geeks podcast, along with my co-hosts, who will introduce themselves in a minute with our question of the week. If you're just joining us for the first time and you want to check out our other episodes, you can find them at cm-life.com and any other place you listen to podcasts like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Just search Central Michigan Life Podcasts, Raving Geeks. So our little hiatus of spring break turned a little bit longer, but that is okay because life is sometimes more important than our podcast, as much as we love our podcast. But we did have the Oscars, the 95th Oscars, happen on the 12th of this month. So, if you are watching us on YouTube, I'm sure that you can see all of our backgrounds represent something from the Oscars. So our question of the week is, what was your favorite moment from the 95th Oscars?
Mike, if you want to go first.
Right, this is a difficult one. I think that my favorite moment that I was able to see was Ke Huy Quan being doing his speech, doing all that stuff, winning best supporting actor. That was a really great moment. There was another moment that it's kind of tied with, but I think this one I definitely had a lot of great feelings towards. I nearly cried, and it was just magical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say my favorite moment was probably Guillermo del Toro's speech for when he accepted the award for Pinocchio, and him saying animation is cinema and that animation is ready to take the next step. It was really cool and impactful, and I really liked his speech.
Nice. My favorite moment was honestly the performance of Natu Natu. I absolutely loved the dancing of it. Like, it was so amazing. My dad and I were watching it. And it reminded us of the Irish river dance style a little bit, but it was still like a really cool scene to be able to watch and listen to the music and just watch everybody get into something that's different and really cool from another country.
Mm-hmm.
So on to our geek news for the week. For the last couple of weeks. We'll try to be brief, but there is a bit, so bear with us. So who would like to go first?
Mike, you want to go first?
Yeah. I don't have too much. I think that I was here really for the Oscars and all of that, but I have about two things. One, Willow, the Disney Plus series, just got canceled for its second season. I know my family watched the first season, and I heard that the ending was just a little bit of a not the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of understand why, but at the same time, the actors I've seen really like doing the show, so it really is a shame to see it get canceled. And
That
yeah,
had Tony Rivoli in it, didn't it? From Spider-Man Homecoming?
I think so.
Flash? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I think it did.
Okay.
Again, I never really watched it. I'm now just kind of on Disney Plus for Star Wars. That's really it, or The Simpsons. But otherwise, yeah, I'd be curious to see how first season was. Watch it and just see, what I missed out on and what others are really missing out on with the lack of second season.
Mhm.
And the second bit of news that I have, it's really quick. It is that Denzel Washington is in talks to join Gladiator 2, which
Mhm.
I will be completely honest, I didn't know there was going to be a Gladiator 2. So the fact that Denzel Washington is going to be a part of it, everybody likes a good Denzel. I think that this will be just adding to it.
Yeah, totally.
But that's all I have.
I guess I'll go next. I'll try and run through all my news here pretty quickly. We got some sad news regarding Sam Neill, which he was diagnosed with stage 3 blood cancer. So that was terrible to hear. But then we had Del Toro's Frankenstein get announced for Netflix, which I'm really excited about because Del Toro is such a great he's such a great director, and I enjoy a lot of his projects that he puts out. So I'm really excited for that. Batman Caped Crusader got picked up by Amazon after HBO Max canceled it. So that'll be like a new animated Batman series in the style of the old late 1990s, early 2000s Batman series, which that's really exciting. Ghostbusters 4 got its working title release, which is going to be called Hell's Kitchen. And that's actually super exciting because they might be taking ideas from Dan Aykroyd's canceled Ghostbusters 3 film where Ghostbusters literally went to hell and fought the devil. So I'm actually really excited for that. And I hope the fourth one goes a little bit darker with its themes and takes the Ghostbusters to a whole different place. But my final piece of news is Jenna Ortega is in talks to star in Tim Burton's Beetlejuice 2, and Beetlejuice 2 was confirmed to be directed by Tim Burton, and he's going to be writing the screenplay for it, which I think that's really exciting, and I think that means that we will get a good sequel out of it. But that's all my news.
I would just say, Tim Burton better be directing and writing Beetlejuice 2 if it's,
Yeah.
who is the first one. I'm also gonna say I am kind of mad at my sister, because she took her theater students who just had their musical, which they did the musical version of Bring It On, which is slightly different from the 2000 movie, with Kristen Dunst. But she just took them to go see Beetlejuice, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? And you didn't invite me?"
Oh my gosh, that would have been so great.
Like, yeah, it's gonna take a while to forgive her for that one. Um, but speaking of musicals, Wicked the movie part one, the release date got moved up by a month, so we still have to wait until next year. But next year, November 27th, is when Wicked Part 1 is going to be released. So it's not a Christmas release, but it's a Thanksgiving release. I don't know why it got moved up, because it got pushed back a year and now they're moving it up. I don't know what's going on in that, but hey, if it means I get to see Wicked on screen sooner, I'm happy. Um, and then speaking of release dates getting moved, Loki season 2, Disney Plus changed it from saying summer 2023 to now just saying coming soon, which is very ominous, and I don't like that. Um, I don't know if they decided to like change things around, or if they, Marvel's doing a slight adjustment of the. Are we in phase 4 or 5?
It's 5.
Um, if they're doing a slight adjustment of the what's being released when, because Marvel's really good at that. But speaking of Marvel things, John Berthenol's Punisher is returning in Daredevil Born Again, and the series is beginning filming this month. So we will get Daredevil Born Again very soon. But unfortunately, Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Woll are not returning as Foggy and Karen in Daredevil Born Again. And
Yeah, that's sad.
I
Uh,
am
I
not okay with that, because like Foggy, come on guys. In some good news for Marvel though, for What If season 2, we're getting a Native American superhero who is Kahori, and she's going to debut in season 2. And the episode is asking the question, what would happen if the Tesseract fell to Earth and landed in the sovereign? I apologize for how much I am about to butcher this, and I'm going to try not to butcher it too much. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy before the colonization of America. So the Tesseract takes on a new life and a new mythology, transforming a lake into a gateway to the stars, leading to Kahori, a young Mohawk woman on a quest to discover her power. Written by Ryan Little, the episode was created in close collaboration with members of the Mohawk Nation, like historian Doug George and Mohawk language expert Cecilia King, to ensure cultural authenticity. This episode takes place in the Mohawk language and is informed by the history of the Arkansas region in what is now upstate New York. Doug George is excited for viewers to see the episode and says it tells a remarkable story from a native Mohawk perspective, which is truly unique and historical, and will give the viewers a new, challenging, and entertaining perspective on this land's first peoples. The story is dramatic, the characters fully realized, and the action sequences are breathtaking. The episode is exceptional in another sense. It is done with the complete cooperation of the Mohawk people, from dialogue to adornment. He also adds, I had a wonderful writing mentor who worked extensively with the indigenous community in upstate New York, and I was excited to draw on that experience to build an entirely original corner of the MCU with storylines for new indigenous heroes written from a place of respect for past generations and optimism for future ones. Cohorty, pronounced Cohorty, is a real Wolf Clan name, meaning she stirs the forest, or is someone who motivates those around her. In her debut adventure, Cohorty will have to live up to her name to recruit powerful allies into the fight to save her people and change the course of history forever. So then it showed what she looks like too, and it is absolutely beautiful. I'm actually excited for this one, especially if it's gonna be I don't usually like having to read subtitles because it distracts me from what's on screen. But I am very much looking forward to having subtitles because it's in a different language. Moving on to Fire Country on CBS has added 2 new cast members. Once Upon a Time alum Rebecca Mader and the rookies Kanoa Gu will both have recurring roles in season 2 of Fire Country, opposite of Max. I say Thoreau, but it could be wrong. Terriot might be how you're actually supposed to say it. And then we've also got John Mulaney has a new stand-up comedy special coming to Netflix on April 25th. It's called Baby J. I don't know if that's gonna play on his son or what exactly. Motor City Comic Con has added 2 stars to their list coming May 19th through 21st. Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner of Star Trek Next Generation will be in attendance. Mean Girls movie musical adds Busy Phillips as Regina George's mom. So instead of oh my gosh, I can't remember her name from the original movie. But it's gonna be awesome.
Is it Amy Poehler? Or is it
Yes,
Tina
Amy
Fey?
Poehler. No, and Amy Poehler. Thank you. I'm gonna say the other bit of sad news, and then I'll end on a happy piece of news, which leads into our geek topic for this week. John Wick star, The Wire star, and Percy Jackson series star Lance Reddick unfortunately passed away on St. Patrick's Day or the day before. Excuse me, at the age of 60. Um, they said that he passed away peacefully of natural causes. I don't understand how someone at 60 dies of natural causes. But I guess Zeus really wanted to see his incarnation in real life. Who was gonna be playing him on screen, and unfortunately took Lance Reddick from us. So he will be missed, but thankfully he did record all of his episodes for season 1 Percy Jackson series. So we don't have any like change up in the middle. And our final piece of geek news for this week is that Everything Everywhere All at Once is officially the most awarded movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is completely awesome considering the cast and just everything about this movie. Like there's so much to unpack with it, which leads us so nicely into our topic for the week of the 95th Oscars. We had, as Mike said, for his favorite moment from the Oscars, Ke Huy Quan won supporting actor, best supporting actor for the movie. I'm Jamie Lynch?
Jamie
No.
Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis, thank you. I was like, I am combining names here. Jamie Lee Curtis won the award for Best Supporting Actress. Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress, and of course, Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Film. And I would also like to say that Ke Huy Quan got his award from Harrison Ford, which I think is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they were up on stage doing the whole Spider-Man thing of like, but it was just so beautiful on stage. But
I
yeah.
think that. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think that Harrison Ford did that for Best Picture.
Yes, but
So that's when they came up, and sure enough, Harrison Ford immediately went to Ke Huy Quan.
yes, which they were. Ke Huy Quan was talking about like he had seen Harrison Ford beforehand. I don't remember where he said, but it was one of those that like he knew that Harrison Ford was gonna be there and he was super excited, but also worried about like, is he gonna remember me? Because I was a little kid. And his agent came out and like was like, hey, Harrison Ford's out here, so come on. And he was like, yeah, Harrison Ford turned around and kind of did the Harrison Ford look, the deep in thought. And he was like, oh no, he doesn't remember me. And then Harrison Ford said his name. He was like, you're oh my gosh, what's his name from
Short
the
round.
Short round.
It's short
Yeah.
round.
And like and Ke Huy Quan was like, yeah, that's. And so like to know they had that interaction beforehand, and like I'm so proud of Ke Huy Quan this year. Like he's had so much success coming back. And his acceptance speech was so beautiful. So I want to start off too with because there was a lot of first things that like first time things for the Oscars happening for the 95th Oscars. And you don't necessarily think about it for a 95th, you more think about it for like 75th or 100th.
Well, yeah.
So what were some things that stuck out to you guys?
I don't know. It was all really good. I like Lady Gaga's performance at the Oscars. That was really impactful. Yeah, it was just a good Oscars this year. I'm glad Brendan Fraser won best actor. The only thing I'm upset that didn't win was Puss in Boots didn't win Best Animated Film, and the Batman didn't win anything either, especially for sound effects. You know that he should have. The Batman should have definitely won for that one.
I love this Oscars. The only caveat that I did have, um, and this is kind of like a small thing, but I really think that Jamie Lee Curtis, she did a great job in the movie. It's kind of weird to me that Jamie Lee Curtis and Stephanie Shu were both in the nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
Mhm.
Um, Specifically because Jamie Lee Curtis's character, I've heard that really in like total time of the movie, she's in about like 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
When Stephanie Shu's character is pretty much like I wouldn't say antagonist, but just one of the main roles, and she killed it. I mean that if you really look at the different personalities, the different inflections, the different just everything that she had to do for this role, it's probably the most uh like astounding performance in all of it. And it definitely did just kind of make me feel a little bit sad to see that Jamie Lee Curtis got it. I mean, good for her,
Yeah.
but I think that Stephanie Shu should have gotten it. Definitely.
I think Angela Bassett should have gotten it, but she looked really disappointed when she didn't get that award. You know, when they flashed over to all the celebrities, all the
Yeah.
clap, she looked really, really disappointed.
Which people were okay, so I have like two comments. So first on Angela Bassett, people were like getting upset at her for her being a sore loser. And I was like, really? She like poured her entire soul into making that movie after someone she probably considered family passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you sure she how much was she like breaking down, once the scenes were done because she was putting everything into it um about, for Chadwick Boseman and to honor him and honor the characters, honor the storyline that he started. Um so like I understand how her disappointment. I don't know why people are upset that she wasn't graceful or whatever about losing. Like you're allowed to be upset. Um
Yeah.
Yeah, I
but like
agree.
my other thing, going back to Jamie Lee Curtis, is I honestly like I was kind of on the fence because I didn't watch Everything Everywhere all at once. So I can't like talk on how, the different their um roles and their acting, but I loved her speech. Her speech saying like this award isn't just me, like it's all of us. We all won this award.
Mhm.
Um, and like then going on to talk about all the people that honestly you can't have an actress in a supporting role nomination if you don't even have the writers or the creators of the movies and
Mhm.
um all the people to help you make you a good actress and the experiences. And so that, and honestly, that was a lot of the speeches were very much like, thank you, all these other people. Like, they weren't super self centered this year's speeches
Mhm.
or the generic, thank God,
Oh
hey, I
yeah.
have to say thank you to the director, the crew and you know, they were all very humble and like everybody deserves this award speeches. And I appreciate it. I think that made it a better Oscars this
Yeah,
year.
I definitely agree.
I really think that the pandemic really did just kind of make people think more about, what they wanted. And I think this uh Oscars was definitely giving more for underrepresented groups
Mhm.
for, just a lot of that. And because these were some first time wins for certain, people of color, certain minority groups, um, I think that there was maybe just a bit more um, thought into, okay, I'm the first person, for our group to be able to get this award. What do I say?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
especially for a lot of those people, there's a lot of support. There's a lot of people that need to give these groups a chance to show what they got. And sure as hell, this year they showed what they had. They
Oh
gave
yeah.
everything, and everybody really really got to see what people were made of. And I think that's kind of the difference with this one. There was just a lot more thought about what to say, who to thank, and it wasn't just some, oh yeah, I got another Oscar. What do I say now?
Right.
Hmm.
These were people who never in a million years imagined. I mean, Brendan Fraser's speech. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
that one also nearly moved me to tears because of how just speechless he was.
Hmm.
I mean, he
Definitely.
was basically just struggling to go through the entire speech because he was just having almost a mini panic attack during that speech. And I felt so bad, but so happy for him.
Well,
Mhm.
so the other part, going off of like history in the making, this year, at the Oscars, there were 16 first-time acting nominees. And
Wow.
then there was also the first song nominated from an Indian film was Natu Natu,
Oh, right. Yeah. That was a good
which
Yeah.
also won. Um, Steven Spielberg has been nominated in 6 different decades for
Yeah, that's
awards.
insane to think about.
And John Williams is not only the oldest Oscar nominee, but he's probably the most nominated nominee with 53 nominations.
Mhm.
Oh my
And I don't
God.
remember how many he's actually won, but yeah, he's
I
been
believe he's
nominated
at least won five. At least five.
like he's been nominated 53 times, but
That's
so
pretty
I'm
great.
What's the ratio?
so listen, John Williams has won a crap ton of um awards for his original scores. So just because he's nominated and hasn't won a ton of Academy Awards, Oscars, does not mean that he is not fantastic. So just he was originally the first time he was ever nominated was in 1968. Just to
Mhm.
say how long he's been at this. His first win was Fiddler on the Roof in 1972 for the best scoring adaptation and original song score.
Hmm.
He then won Best Original Score for Jaws in 1976,
That
Star
makes
Wars in
sense.
1978, and E.T. in 1983.
Mhm.
And then it wasn't until Schindler's List in
Yeah.
1994 that he
Mhm.
won Best Original Score again. Um, and then he hasn't won any Golden Oscars, Academy Awards, whatever you want to call them, since.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That makes
Um,
sense. That's a pretty good one to cap off on.
yeah, but he has been nominated in a lot of in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 23. So he has been 7 different decades nominated
Mhm.
compared to Steven Spielberg's 6. But
Wow.
they're old.
Yeah, definitely.
So I just wanted to actually talk a little bit about RRR and Natu Natu.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I still haven't seen the movie. I'm planning on seeing it like very, very soon because I've only heard that it's like one of the best movies of this year. It definitely should have been nominated for that, I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Definitely.
but I did actually want to say that just kind of as a CM Life, CMU type of thing, there have been a lot of international students coming in, and one of my coworkers, Monikar, um, he was telling me about how he was really, really happy to see that Natu Natu won the best. I want to say that was the best song,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think so. I
which
think that was best original song.
Or, yep, best original song.
which he seemed just like very happy about that. I'm pretty sure I remember him saying like they're finally recognizing us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's really, really, really nice and really cool just to see other cultures, other groups just actually being recognized. I really think
Mhm.
Parasite kind of opened that up
Yeah.
um, for everything, which Parasite's one of my favorites. Um, I just think that international films, everything, they're just becoming a really big thing, and I'm excited to see how the Oscars go later.
Mm-hmm.
I would also like to add, like, not just international, because we had All Quiet on the Western Front, which is
Mm,
technically international, but international non-white. Some something that was internationally and non-white won, and that to me was also like a huge step for the Academy. In because like I mean, how often have we seen, you know, um, non-white people being nominated, but then it's the white person or, the white-led thing being um that who wins.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And it frustrates me. It has frustrated me. And I think that's also part of what made this year's Oscars so fantastic was the fact that it wasn't just that it was we had representation and diversity in our winners.
Mm-hmm.
On
Um
top, oh, go ahead.
no, I sorry,
Oh,
I tend to end with like filler words, so I
no,
apologize.
you're okay. I just want to say that another thing that was like a really big step for the Academy Awards um, was the lack of drama, I would say. I
Yeah, there
know
was no drama. That made me so happy, honestly, that there was no stupid Twitter moments.
No, there were no stupid Twitter moments. If anything, I was just really happy with this Academy Award uh, event because it wasn't filled with a lot of people who really seemed there's a certain point, I think, where actors, Hollywood, stuff like that, you start to know the actors, you start to know like their personalities behind, you know, the filming. You kind of realize that these people are just a little bit superficial, stuff like that. And you get drama, you get weird, just artificial feeling
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
moments. And there definitely were, a few. Um, but for the most part, I would say that the with the acceptance speeches, with just everybody kind of being there for each other,
Mhm.
because especially with Brendan Fraser's speech, he at some point said like, I feel like I'm in a multiverse version of myself. I think kind of referring to like Kihoi Kwan, to Everything Everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of supporting each other back and forth, being there for each other. And that's kind of what was missing, I think, for a lot of the other Oscars. There wasn't this feeling of community, there wasn't a feeling of being happy for each other.
Yeah. There
Um,
wasn't camaraderie
yeah,
between,
now there is.
yeah. And I think that was also shown when the short film for live action short film winners came up for an Irish goodbye, and then they were singing happy birthday to the one actor, oh my gosh, what was his name? Um up on stage, James Martin, and they had got everybody on, in the crowd to sing happy birthday to him.
Mhm.
And I like that was also showing someone with what we consider a disability with Down syndrome, up
Yeah,
there winning, and then having so many people like showing their love and appreciation for his acting and who he is as a person, singing happy birthday. And that definitely also highlighted the connections and camaraderie and love and care everybody had for each other this year.
that actually does bring a really great point. Um, we've been talking about how it's um, this is a stage for them
Mhm.
to say something. I guess I didn't see that part, which I'm feeling upset that I didn't see that because that sounds like another really, really great happy moment during
Mhm.
the awards. But it does just kind of make me think that they usually there's plans, usually there is just like a speech that people just want to do about, oh, I want to thank, like you said, like God, I want to thank, you know, just some pretty common stuff. It almost seems like they wanted to just have fun with their cast. They wanted to have fun with their crew. They just wanted to just show it's not just them, it's everybody that is involved, every
Mhm.
single person. And because of that, I think that this Academy Awards, I think you really got to get a feeling of how many people are involved in a movie.
Mhm.
Right.
Because usually you just see the actor, you might see their like family, something like that. You never really see the like whole crew just coming along and being like, "Oh, hey, let's sing happy birthday."
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's love. That is endearment to each other that you never see otherwise.
Hmm. Totally. I thought it was really cool that they focused on some of like the smaller actors in Hollywood, like Brendan Fraser, Michelle Yeoh, and Kike Kwan and Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought that was really nice because I grew up with a lot of those actors, like watching them in movies. So it was really cool to like grow up and then see where they are now, seeing like they're becoming more recognized in Hollywood.
Well, I think too, going back, that reminded me of Brendan Fraser's speech, that he's in the multiverse. Like I remember when he came out and said that he had been sexually assaulted,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
then how fast Hollywood was to blacklist him. Um, and it was about the same time that Terry Crews came out and said that the director of The Expendables um had sexually assaulted him. But I think Terry Crews also had, I don't know how fast Brooklyn Nine-Nine was on coming up after that, if he was cast, if he came out and said that before he got cast in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But to all see the two, like, here's Brendan Fraser and he gets blacklisted, and it literally takes him so long to be able to come back, both personally come back into filmmaking, something that he loved doing,
Hmm.
um, but then also coming and going to the awards ceremony. Because there was another awards ceremony that happened a few months ago that he said he wasn't going to because he didn't want to be a hypocrite,
Hmm.
because they were the ones who basically like blacklisted him and everything. And so I think, at least my interpretation of it too, of him saying the multiverse was um realizing how many people actually supported him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Halle Berry and Jessica Chastain, as soon as they opened that envelope, you could tell they wanted to just like shout out his name, start jumping up and down. But they were just like they both took a breath and you could see the smiles grow, and like, and then they said his name, and I think like between that, the what was it, like 10-minute applause when the whale came out in France,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
its reception, and how many people like on social media too are like, no, Brendan Fraser, we want him back, we still love him and support him. And so I think his multiverse is going from the Hollywood that blacklisted him and made him feel like he was nothing, to all of a sudden realizing that he never was nothing, and that, he had all of these people behind him the entire time, but it was the louder voices and the people in charge that,
Right.
were the ones who were assholes. I'll be very blunt about that. And I'll
Yeah.
be like, so I sat there and I went, if like list I was like, listen, I understand Austin Butler did a good job, it's Elvis, and like I understand this and that with best actor, but I was like, if you do not have Brendan Fraser win this freaking award, there's gonna be riots. But then
He
he
just
won.
he definitely deserved it. And
Yes.
um I think that one thing that I would want to bring up, I think that in terms of the Oscars, the Academy Award, actually like people supporting him, I also would want to bring up that there was something online that actually did kind of open my eyes like, yeah, this is a problem, and it's online. Being
Mm-hmm.
the internet, there's this really weird thing, and I want to point it out, that some people are almost babyfying like Ki Hoi Kwan. They are babyfying Brennan Fraser. They're just saying like, "Oh, look at the little man," stuff like that. And then there's that opposite spectrum of Pedro Pascal, where he is just getting sexually harassed to the point of it's gross,
Mm-hmm.
um, just outright. I would want to bring up that these people deserve it. They shouldn't be baby-fied. They had such a horrible, rough past of being blacklisted and the culture almost just completely shutting him out. Um, and Ki Hoi Kwan thinking that he was just a nobody,
Mm-hmm.
for the longest time. There shouldn't be any babification of these actors, because they deserve to be respected. They don't, they deserve to have their stories heard and be happy with this stuff. What we are saying is we're so happy for them, and they they just deserve it. They should be happy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
Yeah. It's like there are some people that I was gonna like. I think if the people, shit, trying to like form this into words, sorry, but like the toxicity that comes with being in the spotlight, and that's gonna be anyone because they're jealous or just want to be rude and nasty for whatever
Mhm.
reason. Um, but that's when also like the good part of social media and uh the instant access we have in our world today of being able to say, um, no, they're the few and far between, and here's 10,000 videos that are actually everybody who loves you and is proud of you and sees you as an inspiration and role models and and you know what? Hey, it's social media. We're gonna go troll the trolls now. So like
Mhm.
I definitely social media has also made it that the armies of fans behind all of our celebrities know how to defend for the most part. There are some who just don't fully understand how to defend against the trolls, but we
Yeah.
sit there and go, okay, you're jealous, you're insecure, you're whatever.
Mhm.
You do bring up a really good point of toxicity. I guess, yeah, what I am getting at is it's almost like a toxic positivity.
Hmm.
I think that's really what it is because it got to a point where like I think one moment that I always thought I was like, that's awesome. I love this was when Brendan Fraser was being interviewed, I think like on Zoom, something like that. And he was too caught up with his Nintendo Switch that he didn't even realize the interview was going on. And they had to like tell him, and it kind of made news like, oh yeah, no, he got, just too consumed playing games. Um, and I think that there is a difference between looking at that and being like, for me, I'm like, that's so cool. He's just a person. I think that's
Right.
what I really like hearing that, these people are they're just people, you know, in a big Hollywood setup. Um, and then there's that toxic positivity where instead of looking at it like they're humble, they are, a person, they don't see it as humbleness, but cuteness as, oh, look at the little man. Look, he has his little switch. It's that weird like standing that is online, that like obsession, and it either turns into a weird lust or a weird coddling.
Whew. Yeah, definitely. Sorry. If anyone caught that, I'm catching up on sleep from this weekend. So,
I totally get that.
Mhm.
well, so I want to also talk about like the downside of the Oscars. Um, when you have not everybody can win, and I understand that.
Mhm.
But then I also just I sit there and I feel bad for some of the nominations. And this year it was Elvis and the Banshees of Inisherin because they were nominated in a bunch of categories. Um, and they did not win a single thing.
Mhm.
And first off, there is joy and good things in just being nominated for the first and foremost. Like being nominated is an award in itself. But then and I sit there and I do this with like the NFL draft too, where you literally you're there because you're hoping to hear your name called or to hear, the project you worked on called.
Mhm.
And then, like the NFL draft, Mr. Irrelevant is the last person to hear his name called. Or the ones like this last year's draft with Khalil Pimpleton, I was expecting to hear his name called, but then he didn't get his name called at all during the draft, but then he got signed as a free agent to the Lions. Um, but you sit there and you're happy for these people, but then you're just like, I just wasted my entire night just sitting here doing nothing, waiting and hoping to hear my name called, but I'm not. So
Mhm.
what was the point?
Right.
Um, and like I totally understand where some things are definitely better than the others. I get that. But I just I also sit there and go, like Angela Bassett, when people were upset with her about being, and I was like, she literally was there just for that nomination, and she had to sit through the rest of the night. Like,
All you
we,
can feel is just sadness in a certain way,
yeah,
empathy for what they might be feeling.
yeah. And like they might see their friends up there, someone that they worked with in the past, someone they are really close with, and they're gonna be happy for them. But it's also like you're like, oh, okay, cool. I
Mhm.
just and then I also think of the fans who um like I know I am super duper into the Fantastic Beasts movies, but
Mhm.
not everybody is. And I'm like, listen, if they got nominated, I'd be sitting there going, let them win.
Mhm.
Right.
Even if I know that something else was technically better, I'd be like, no, let them win. So like I also from a fan standpoint, like I also feel this like sadness for these other people and empathy for like how they're feeling. No, no. They're like the Oscars and awards are great in some aspects, and in others, it just you know it sucks for people.
Mhm.
I think that I guess I'm going into their perspective, and it does suck. I can understand that. Of course, there's always going to be this feeling of, you know, shoot, I can't believe that I didn't make it. I think that a lot of them, though, and what fans should also come to expect is these awards, they are great, but they are not validation.
Right.
You shouldn't feel like that's how you get validated that you are a good actor. The fact that you even got nominated, I think, should be proof enough for that. But even if you didn't get nominated,
Yeah.
it, that win, that nomination, these are just things that I think it's only a certain select group that chooses this.
Yeah.
It's not your friends, it's not your family. They didn't personally say, "No, you don't get this." Say, this other movie does.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, they love and support you, and with fans, being disappointed, I'm not sure how I would feel, if Everything Everywhere didn't win. But I think that if that didn't happen, these are not validation that this is the best movie of all time. It's whatever you want. That's
Yeah.
kind of like my last bit. It's what you want. The Oscars are just there as a celebration. And a
Yeah.
lot of people got to celebrate this time around, and that's what I love about it.
And that
Same.
might have been where I was trying to go with that too. It's meant to bring them all together and celebrate these things that they've created. Um, like costume design winner Ruth Carter. This is her second um she's the first Black woman to have two Oscar awards. And she was the costume designer too.
Mhm.
And the fact that we as fans too, I think the Oscars and a lot of awards fail to see the power of fans. Um, in like because they're like, but I mean more before I'm hoping that the Oscars stays with this trend of diversity and everyone getting the chance, not just white people. Um, because like especially in the past, I remember just getting so upset where I was like, no, that person did not get it. Nobody liked that person. Everybody liked all the fans like this person. And I think like if there are any true sore losers of the Oscars or any award system, they need to realize that that is not what makes or breaks your movie. It
Right.
is the fans and your audience. And because, like, literally, the Flash movie coming up, I realize it might look good and appealing, but do you know how many people are not gonna go and tell everyone to boycott that movie because Ezra Miller is still in the movie? Like, I Hollywood higher ups seriously need to understand the power of the fans. Like,
And on top of that, I think that Hollywood just needs to be the Academy Awards this time around, very diverse, fantastic. I think it's because movies were more diverse. I think that Hollywood this time around kind of stepped up and actually allowed, people of color to be in those big roles and show what they can do. Um, and I think that's really what it comes down to. The Academy Awards can give whatever they want. They can nominate people, and it truly becomes a problem if there are no movies with diversity. If there are none of that, we can't blame the Academy Awards. We can only
yeah.
blame the higher ups in Hollywood for having a complete issue with that. And I think this Oscars, they were a win. Seriously,
Yeah,
this was so good.
they did a really good job.
Yeah. Any final comments before we move into our geeky recommendations?
Nope.
Bring in more Cocaine Bear mascots.
Okay, but whoever was in that costume, I just want to give them massive props because I'm sure that they could not see a dang thing in that mat, like that.
Not at all.
Like and I appreciate Elizabeth Banks, saying if we didn't have CGI and people to do this behind the scenes stuff, this is what Cocaine Bear would look like. It would literally be a person in a bear costume.
Which
Yeah.
I think still would be really fun. I would have liked to see Kaiju Cocaine Bear in a very tiny miniature town.
See, I think it would be flipped if Cocaine Bear was a person in a bear costume. Like, it's everybody else is hired cocaine, and they're like, why is this bear doing stuff? Because they're all tripping out.
It's actually just a human in a bear costume high on
Yeah.
cocaine. That would have been a really fun time.
All right. Well, as always on Raving Geeks, we like to end our shows with some geeky recommendations. This can be movies, TV shows, anything and everything that we like to geek out on. So, what have y'all got for us this week?
Well, I'm going to be recommending The Mandalorian season 3 to anybody who's watching, obviously, and to go see the movies Creed 3, which by this recording should already be in theaters, and to also go see John Wick 4 by this recording that it will be in theaters this coming week.
So excited for that.
Yeah.
Listen,
how
I
about
might
you?
go see Creed 3 just to see Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan duking it out. So,
I mean, it's a good fight. It's a really good cinematography, and considering that Michael B. Jordan is the director for this one, and it's his debut directing movie, he does a really nice job doing it. Okay,
Me,
Mike,
I
how
always
about you?
Oh yeah, just I haven't seen the movie for Creed, but I just wanted to say I really enjoy the fact that Michael B. Jordan is heavily inspired by anime.
Mhm.
Um, Finally, a little bit of props in Hollywood for just saying anime is really cool. So I thank you, Michael B. Jordan. Um, oh God, I think what I'm just gonna have to recommend really, really quickly is Peacemaker.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody has done that already. I I've watched the season already, and I had to watch the first episode again, over and over and over again for a capstone paper, and I forgot just how funny it is. And actually, it has a lot of good commentary on the just world that we live in.
Mhm.
And John Cena is just, I don't know what James Gunn does or if he just sees something in these pro wrestlers, but they turn out to be like some of my favorite actors in superhero movies, just hands down. So go watch it because John Cena kills it in this movie, in this show.
Well, technically, he was in the second Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah,
What
the
was it?
Suicide
The
Squad.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Like when people say the Ohio State.
It's
Um,
the Suicide Squad, yeah.
um, for anyone who's wondering who the other wrestler is that he's talking about, it's Dave Batista. But also technically Dwayne Johnson was a wrestler on WWE as well. That's
True.
why he's known as The Rock. Um, and if anyone else wants to see another WWE wrestler, Sheamus, who is if anyone has seen a very pale with bright red hair and facial hair on social media, like, or anything, that is Sheamus from WWE. He was on last night, so the 19th, the episode of NCIS LA, and he was duking it out with LL Cool J at one point. Um, so, but my recommendation, don't listen to half the people on TikTok. They're just upset that Nikolai does not look like how they imagined. Shadow and Bone season 2 is honestly, I honestly have been wanting to watch this, like, I've been counting down the days. It's now out, and I'm like, okay, I want to watch it. I want to watch it, not do this thing. I want to watch the show. I don't want to go to bed. I want to watch the show. And I think I'm on the final episode finally. But it's so good. If you thought season 1 was good, season 2 bumped it up a notch. Um, I am partially correct when I was making my predictions earlier on what happens in season 2. I am partially correct, but that is only because I have read half of the one part of the series that it's based off of, because it's based off of Leah Bardugo's series is Six of Crows, which is a duology. There's just 2 of them, and then you've got the title for the show Shadow and Bone series, which is a trilogy. But the show basically mashed the 2 together because it is all in the same universe at the same time. So they are taking some creative liberties based on, mashing them together. But it is so good. Ben Barnes outdoes himself again as the villain, which I know Ben Barnes as a villain does not seem like it fits, but it does. So if you guys have any comments on the Oscars, any of the awards, who won, what if you think what should have won, anything we talked about in this episode, or you just want to like tell us, hey, you should ask this for your question of the week, or give us recommendations because we love broadening our horizons. You can reach out to us on Twitter and Facebook at Raving Geeks, and you can also view our videos on TikTok for also at Raving Geeks. As always, I have been Hope Gooderl along with my co-hosts,
I'm Carter Sally.
Michael Gonzalez.
and we hope that you guys have a great weeky and that y'all stay geeky.
See you guys later.
See ya.